Journal of a Psychopath, University. I'm a retired private investigator turned real crime blogger. I have been receiving anonymous manuscripts in the mail detailing heinous acts of appalling psychopathy. For reasons concerning my work, this situation, I don't want to give you my true identity. You can refer to me as Mr. S. I started in my early years as a detective. Not to toot my own horn, but I was highly effective at my job. And before too long, I started taking much higher paying jobs as a freelance private investigator. Over the years, I have solved several high profile cold murder cases. Unfortunately, in a work related attack, I was seriously injured and retired from my job as a private investigator 5 years ago. Since then, I have started a well-known real crime blog and podcast. Recently, I started to receive the handwritten manuscripts for an anonymous source in the mail detailing heinous acts of dark psychopathy. No return address. On the outside of the second envelope, there was the following note. My work is an art that has gone unnoticed for far too long, although few would understand. It is time that my art is presented to the world. Below is the second manuscript I received. This manuscript was titled University. If you have not yet read the first manuscript, you can read that first here. Be warned, I believe that what you are about to read is the journal of a psychopath. University. I was in my sophomore year at the university. The past 2 years had gone exactly as planned. My status as a foster child ensured that my tuition would be covered. Dean and Sarah had followed through with their offer of adoption and accepted me as their son. As such, they provided me with a modest allowance, ensuring that my pantry remained filled and my needs were met. I had a nice computer, a new cell phone, and all of the school supplies I would need. I also always had a place to stay during the summer or holidays. Although I preferred to spend my time alone, I provided Dean and Sarah with just enough interaction and gratification to keep them bending over backward for me. Life was good until Dustin. That's it. In my previous year, I had the fortune of being assigned a roommate that rarely spoke. He minded his own business. We never even had a real conversation. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember the kid's name. It was perfect. This year, I had been assigned a very different roommate, Dustin. Dustin was a special kind of fool who felt the need to be the center of attention. My apartment was always crammed with similar idiots who can't quite seem to manage 5 seconds without speaking. They were always talking, shouting, and blaring pathetic pop music written by musicians who had the vocabulary skill of dirty-minded first graders. Dustin and his group of retards replicated the essence of their favorite song by getting sloppy drunk and bragging about and such. I was disgusted that my generation could succumb to such gross culture. At first, I thought that they were just drinking. I shut myself in my room or the library as much as possible, ignoring the idiots. It didn't take me long to realize, however, that they were consuming a little more than just booze. Every time Dustin walked near, a waft of burnt marijuana would insult my nose, and soon my apartment reeked of it every evening. As if that wasn't bad enough, one Saturday morning I woke up to find the remnant of their Friday night festivities. People I did not recognize lay on the couch and even on the floor snarling like hibernating pests. Their mess of crunched aluminium beer cans and burnt joints, along with the aroma of stale cigarettes, gave the appearance as if a herd of homeless addicts had spent the night in my apartment. On the coffee table were smears of fine white powder, fingerprints whooshing about. A small white straw from a little fast food establishment lay on the ground. It wasn't hard to determine that these snoring idiots had done plenty of cocaine. Now I don't care if you smoke weed or do cocaine as long as it poses no threat to my well-being. Naturally, if Dustin were to get caught with drugs, it could come down on me as well, guilty by association, as they say. Obviously, I couldn't accept such a risk to my life, to my goals. I would need to confront Dustin about it. I walked into his room, kicking away beer cans that clanged across the floor. In the midst of his room, which resembled a landfill, was his bed. The scattered bedsheet and comforter gave way to a cluster of tangled limbs. I pulled the sheets off to find Dustin in his underwear, his girlfriend beside him, nearly naked. Ripping off his smelly sheets did nothing to steer the kid from his drug-induced hibernating, so gave him a nudge. Nothing. Dustin, wake up and clean this shit up, I said, but Dustin barely moved. My patience was already thin, but each and every second that I had to exist inside this pigsty made me more agitated. I grabbed him by his foot and ripped him out of his bed. The first thing to hit the floor was his face, which practically bounced off of the cheap grey carpet. What the hell? Said Dawson, finally somewhat conscious. His hand clutched his head in obvious pain from the hangover, only made worse from the hit to the head. His palms worked their way to his eyes as he rubbed them and tried opening his eyelids. Get up, Dustin. Get these idiots out of my apartment and clean up your pigsty. If I wanted to live in a trailer park filled with trashy idiots, I would. Get the hell out of here, asshole. Quit being a little bitch, he told me, looking up with squinty eyes as if someone was shining a flashlight directly at his face. I could see the headache in his eyes, showing clear signs of a huge hangover. I knew how to handle a guy with a huge hangover. Wait for the part 2.